As a part of the celebration of 15 years of Minecraft, they got some of their staff together in a room to react to those last 15 years, and they've surprisingly done it again, meaning that as well as learning about the Microsoft acquisition and everything else, we also learned about why Jeb created the Illagers.
He did it specifically with Minecraft Dungeons in mind.
We learned some really candid thoughts about what Minecraft developers think about the mob votes.
Like, why not all of them, and commenting all over the place and making petitions and all that stuff. That's passion, and that shows that people really care about what we're doing, and I think that's what I love most about the Minecraft community.
We also got some very raw thoughts about what it is that they actually want from the future of the game.
You know, we want Minecraft to be here for 100 years. It's going to be the first 100-year franchise.
All of this comes from the final parts of a video series that Mojang themselves made to celebrate 15 years of Minecraft, and instead of getting PR speak involved, they actually got real developers in to talk about their real experiences making something, and so I thought it was great that they could talk honestly about their fears of the acquisition, or about how Minecon 2015 kind of represented the end of that.
Things also started settling for us after the acquisition. Kind of a time of uncertainty and, you know, a lot of wondering and being a little bit afraid. But I think that all became better as soon as we could start to meet up with our new US colleagues.
It's fun because I went to Minecon 2015 and I remember this was the time that lots of announcements did start coming out. Literally after each day of Minecon they'd make some huge new announcement. Clearly that was with agreement of Mojang, but some of these would include things like the idea that one day the Pocket Edition or Windows 10 would be available on all of the platforms as cross-platform. That's a crazy one that never panned out, huh? But yeah, these sorts of ideas sounded like pie-in-the-sky things but actually came about. And on a more light-hearted note, this was the first Minecon Lady Agnes went to.
So this Minecon in London was the first Minecon I ever went to, and it was before I joined Mojang, so I was just there as like a super fan. I got to talk to Lydia, for example, and I'm super starstruck.
Agnes is always so wholesome, but also incredibly relatable to me in this moment, because this was also my first Minecon. This was my first opportunity meeting my, YouTube colleagues, if you will, and I also thought that it was a great opportunity to meet lots of other Minecraft people, and so I'm in this 10,000 person crowd. I don't know where, but fun fact I am. But after this, she started talking about the Exploration update, which was her first one working in Minecraft, and she said this about the Woodland Mansion.
And back then, it was really, really tricky to do structures. We didn't have like a good system, so it's hard-coded and like to get everything together, like the code is a mess.
I also thought it was fun to hear one of the sound producers say this.
Love the chicken rooms. There's also the cat room that I really like.
Personally, I love the Nitwit. I think it's the perfect example of the thing that exists just to exist.
I'm glad I'm not the only survival enjoyer that thinks that the weird block rooms are one of the more fun and whimsical things about this, but yeah, the fact that it's hard-coded would probably explain why when you're flying across your Minecraft world, it's always the Woodland Mansions that generate in slightly weirdly, like block by block. Now I sort of understand why that is. Speaking of things I understand, I thought it was interesting to hear them talk about the illagers they brought into Minecraft.
I don't think Jens really knew how big of an impact he was making on the Minecraft world when he did that.
For me, that was quite special because at the time I was working on the prototype stages of a new game that we were developing, Minecraft Dungeons. Jens first started working on the illagers for this update. He did it specifically with Minecraft Dungeons in mind, so not everyone knows that, and so Jens designed the illagers and kind of gave them to us.
That has to be the craziest reveal to just casually drop, by the way. The fact that the illagers are so weird is something we've wondered for so long, and one of the biggest questions about them is why did they fully design an extra illager, which is fully coded into the game, by the way, it has range and magic attacks, the Illusioner, and then never use it for anything since, even when it would thematically fit an update, like the Trial Chambers, and the answer seems to be they put it in the game they wanted it for, and that is Minecraft Dungeons. Absolutely mind blown. By the way, this is Mans Olsen. He was the creative director for Minecraft Dungeons, but interestingly, at the very start of this video, he's credited as the creative director for internal new games, making me think that he is the creative director on whatever they're working on right now, and I am beyond fascinated about that, but it's all we get to hear about it for today's video, because then they move on to the next update.
I remember long discussions in the office on whether it was ethical to feed parrots carrots crackers.
This is one of the most interesting debates that sort of defines Minecraft as a game when you think about it, because can you have things that are harmful if you are to repeat them from Minecraft in real life? The answer to some players, if you've been playing for a really long time, is of course, I ride pigs off mountains all of the time, and the answer to other players who learn about certain things from Minecraft, who have maybe been slightly younger and influenced by the game, is like, oh yeah, I kind of assume things in Minecraft do exist in the real world, and so do you have to care about your social responsibility more than you care about having a fun gameplay feature? Obviously, this was easily solved in the end, but I like that they could actually talk about it, and I also like that Adrian, who is a senior producer for audio, gave us this little Easter egg that I never realized.
It's like an Easter egg information, but one of the ambient sounds for the parrot is actually, it's like, hello. If you think about it, if you know it, then you can hear it like, hello. Hello.
I kind of just feel dumb for not having spotted that before, but now I'll know to spot it the next time I'm near a parrot. After this, they decided to speak about the first big update of the modern era, the Aquatic Update, or rather, the Update Aquatic, and Lady Agnes mentioned this small line in passing.
I probably spent too many evenings and nights, and it was like...
They do actually mention that this was a time they were ramping up in general, and so they said that
we added new desks everywhere, even where we used to have a gaming and cinema room. All of a sudden people were working in there with no windows.
That was the reason behind them moving to a new office, which is apparently the one they're still using to this day. I actually went on an office tour there recently. I had some flights that were cancelled, so I was in Sweden, and so I got to see around. I had to sign an NDA, so I can't talk too much about it, but let me just tell you, it's a crazy space on the inside, and they have a Minecraft Dungeons machine where you don't have to pay to play it every single time. I'm just mind blown. Anyway, the point is to say that that is the office, and this is the amount of staffing increases that have led them into the current day of Minecraft updates. But after that, they did start to speak about the mob vote. They obviously first referenced the very, very first mob vote. Interestingly, this was the first public thing Lady Agnes had to do.
Agnes, Twitter has decided llamas it is. You know what to do.
So surreal. I mean, it's still surreal to do videos, but then I'm like, well, I'm a coder, and now I'm out here with a llama doing a video. What?
Yep.
It's but it was very, very fun. And the llama, I remember the llama. He was called Adrian, and he was very nice.
I genuinely forgot that was the first time that we, the public, got to see Agnes working on Minecraft. Super cute, super adorable, very fun, but also the first time that we had a mob vote, and indeed, there were very few people voting on it, but we could have had an alpaca, but the community wanted a llama. And so after this, they talk about the mob vote in a little bit more depth. Even referencing how very undervoted on these first mob vote polls were.
Well, yeah, this was the first mob vote. I think like 5,000 people voted.
This obviously ramped up massively over the years to the point where we now have millions of people voting, and so this has resulted in some controversies, which they do directly address.
Really, like, they liked the idea of getting to contribute to what we make in the game. But I think the problem is we started having ideas that people really got attached to. They say, like, they want all three because they don't want to miss out on the possibilities. And I think the problem is it comes across as though, like, we have all three ready to go already. They're already designed, they're already coded, they're already, like, fully polished features, and we're just like waiting to press a button on only one of them, and then we're going to throw out the other two.
This is exactly how so many people do genuinely believe the mob vote goes, and you can't really blame them when they talk about it in such fully featured terms. It's hard to describe the difference between a potential Minecraft idea and one that is planned and one which is definitely going to be in the updates, and I think that's what leads to the controversies with the community, and I also think that that is something that is hard to properly communicate. How do you describe something that could potentially be added to Minecraft versus something that they think is a good idea versus something that is fully ready to go? It is hard for the average player to understand that about any game, but especially with Minecraft, I think. And, as indeed one of the producers puts it best,
adding anything to a game is super complex.
I think that's obvious to the surface to anyone that game development is harder than it seems, but I think that when they present the ideas as basically being locked in, it's like, oh, so you've done all the game design work at the very least. Really, it's just modeling, and, people think about how little there is left to do. Whereas I think if they presented it from the beginning as like, here are 3 ideas, 3 core concepts that we would of course refine and work on and add more to later, I think there is a bit of communication that could probably help that. But I'm glad they aren't just saying, yeah, we're scrapping the mob vote because people keep being mad at us. Instead, they said something much more inspiring. This was from Corey, who is of course one of the senior developers for Minecraft.
We're not doing anything just because we like want to ruin people's day or like make people sad. Like we're trying to make the best game that we think it needs to be to fit the vision we have. But all these stuff like this, like why not all of them, and commenting all over the place and making petitions and like all that stuff. That's passion, and that shows that people really like care about what we're doing, and I think that's what I love most about the Minecraft community. It's all because they love the game.
I actually really like that as a response, to not see all the people complaining as, oh, they're just trying to annoy us, but instead saying, wow, these people are passionate about the game, and they come back to this later about their plans for the future of managing to keep the game alive for a very long time. I think it's fascinating, but in the meantime, they switch out a few people for some new developers like King Bee Dogs and Olraf, and they start to talk about some of the other updates, like with the Never, and indeed, this is very interesting to hear from Brandon, King Bee Dogs.
We were kind of struggling at the time with another update to try and inject a little bit of that survival gameplay loop that is already in the overworld, but make it feel different. So if we just ended up creating some sort of boat that you could craft, then it might feel a bit too much like the overworld. We wanted to go in a different direction.
I love whenever there's a slightly deeper insight given from someone who works on the gameplay for Minecraft, because explanations for things like, why is it that you don't just have lava boats, instead you have the striders, or why didn't they just make the beds work in the Nether, why do you have to use the respawn compass? The answer is they're trying to warp, they're trying to change your expectations while still fitting into Minecraft, and honestly, when you see it from that perspective, they did a really good job. It gets me even more excited about End Update because they'd of course do the same there, but to stay focused for a second, I really like that their goal for the Never update was...
we want it to be alien.
I also loved getting to hear Olraf do his goat noise.
Oh, that's so good.
They did get to a slightly more serious note after this though, because obviously after the Never update comes Caves and Cliffs, which was split in half because...
this was a rough time in general. It was during the pandemic, right?
We were all in a weird place.
It's interesting because it probably goes without saying, but for the Minecraft community, the pandemic was an opportunity to play so much more of the game, but for the developers, it was a lot harder to develop it because...
we got the information, okay, everyone should work from home, but it's just going to be 2 weeks. Right.
Yes.
Xylefian, who is the Bedrock tech lead, even directly said this.
People working from home, they're going to be putting far more time in than usual because they can't disconnect. Their development machine is right next to them. So I remember just waking up and immediately on the computer talking to people, and I'd be there until late at night.
I think that is a really useful thing for the community to hear. I'm glad that he had an opportunity to say it, because honestly, it's one of the weird things about working harder. Past a certain point, you actually start to perform less. You can put more hours in, and for some jobs that, you know, like if you're manning a cashier somewhere, all you have to do is be able to stand there and you technically get the job done. But for some jobs, especially in the creative field, if you start pouring more hours in past a certain point, you actually start performing worse. And so if you're working on a giant update to the entire generation of the world, it might just hamper your ability to actually perform effectively, and not just being able to do it, but working out how you should do it. And so, interestingly, they specifically talk about how when this led to the split of the update,
it was tough. The feeling of letting the community down.
Anyway, after this update came the Deep Dark, and they reacted a little bit to the trailer there. I thought it was very interesting when they said this.
We always want to go back to our roots, and we all played Minecraft back in the day. So we like to kind of reach back to the parts before each of us joined Mojang.
Yeah,
like, what did we enjoy?
And it turns out that a lot of the team really love this fear that you used to get in Minecraft, which I can imagine is so much higher for someone who's just playing Minecraft now. Yeah, sure, the first time you see a spider or a creeper, you're going to be freaked out. But the first time you have a warden, I imagine there is a whole generation of teenagers out there going, what the heck? I guess maybe not teenagers. You know, I'll be honest, I was 17 when I was first freaked out by a Minecraft spider. So yeah, I think the truth is that having that experience is going to be great, something I didn't properly think about till just this. Also, when we talk about the Tales and Trails update, I think I'll just briefly skip over and give you this wholesome story from Olraf.
I actually went home during working on the camels and had a trip like with my friends riding camels again, because we used to ride camels a lot when I was a kid.
Olraf is a really fascinating example of a Minecraft developer because he is from the Middle East. It means that he actually has a very different experience, which helps to make you appreciate just how, I don't know, I guess you could say Northern European standardized Minecraft is to a certain extent, and bringing the camels into the game is just a small part of bringing in some other cultural experiences from across the world. I think that's a cool part for the game. I feel like a lot of people like the conversation of adding more diversity to something, and I think that one of the underappreciated parts of this is diversity of thought, and also geography. geographic diversity. There is so much in the world which you won't be thinking about from your current geographic perspective. But anyway, the point here is to say the camels are a great example of expanding Minecraft in a direction that many people might not have thought of. Speaking of directions people might not have thought of, here's something interesting that they decided to talk about near the end, which is the impact that Mojang and Minecraft have had on their lives. And it's fun because obviously this is Minecraft asking them the questions, but I still thought this was a fascinating response.
Your whole life changes as a result of just playing Minecraft.
There's also a wholesome Agnes moment when she says this is her response.
Working with Minecraft was this dream that felt impossible.
It's really nice to hear that for many people working at Mojang right now, they are people that enjoyed playing the game and then got into it, and now they get to develop it as their dream. But it was also really fascinating that they used this as a jumping off point to talk about the future of it. Obviously, all the CEOs and senior executives for Microsoft and Minecraft have to say when they talk about the age of the game that, yeah, it's lasted for 15 years and will definitely last for like 50 more at least. But it was interesting to hear from actual developers who necessarily, you can't have a CEO be like, yeah, we think the company has 4 years left and then we're packing it in. But this is an actual employee. This is King B Dogs describing how he thinks the future of the game is going to be.
My ideas of what Minecraft is different to the people that worked on it 10 years ago. But that's because of all the foundational work they did to begin with. There are going to be new people who continue to come in and essentially adopt this game, adopt this experience, and I want to make sure that we treat it well and that we have sort of this passing the torch moment where what we've done prior is enough that they can continue to carry on that torch.
On a company level, that is already a hard challenge. Every company is trying to work out how to continue its success into the future, but on an individual employee level, it's crazy that they actively think about that, how they can keep the game running into the future, and how the people who start working at Mojang in 5 years or 10 years will interact with it now. It's a really fun set of thoughts. I mean, even the idea of adding the Warden, as they hinted, it's coming back to Minecraft's roots, but also placing new roots for future players, right? And so someone who starts working at Mojang in 10 years' time, who is maybe like 9 years old when they first encountered the Warden, might have an idea as to how to entirely expand it and maybe do something with that portal. Having these roots be laid in current updates so that future Minecraft stuff can come into it is really important. For example, the Trial Chambers makes a real big deep dive into Copper, which when it was added had enough functionality, but they deliberately didn't finish off Copper so they could add more to it now. I feel the same about Tough, effectively. It's like Tough was deliberately left a little barren so that they could later come up with a good idea as to where it should fit into the world. And I love this idea that as well as adding the fully featured stuff we care about, they're also trying to think about how they can make sure that the game has longevity to it, because
I think it was Dinnerbone who said, we want Minecraft to be here for 100 years. It's going to be the first 100-year franchise.
This truly is an immense challenge that obviously no games franchise has achieved. The closest you get are the 40-year franchises like Tetris, or the 35-year ones like the Super Marios and the Sonics of the world. But truly, lasting all the way to 100 is something we do not know what the pathway towards is. And I think it's really great that they're actively aiming for that, because if there is any game that you can imagine being around in 3 or 4 generations from now, I feel like it is Minecraft. And I feel like, unlike all of the other games which are constantly reinventing themselves, I feel like it will still be the same Minecraft. And I think this is something they hope for too, because this is Sarah Boving, the artist who made the new Wolves, fun fact, as well as some new paintings. She said this.
I don't know. I think the future of Minecraft, I hope that it still keeps true to how it felt in the beginning.
Yeah.
But better.
But better, yes.
Okay, that is really great, but also a fun thing. Minecraft has the same struggle that anything does when it's in the entertainment space, which is how do you continue to exist for a while? And to just have my tiny bit of introspection from myself here, I do have to say I started this channel, and when it started to get popular in like 2012 and 2013, I kind of understood that there was a certain number of years that this YouTube thing could go on for. Like a TV show, I've always kind of hinted that I've been prepared for the end of YouTube for a while, because it is an inevitability. YouTubers go away, entertainment fades off into the distance, but honestly, every single year there is a small amount of reinvention you have to do. There is a small amount of that, but better you have to work on, and I'm glad that in the same way that I have to continuously think about that and hopefully succeed in doing so, I'm glad that the Minecraft developers are doing precisely that too, and I'm really glad that they care as much about this game that we all love as all of us clearly do. And so I hope you enjoyed your time here today. Tomorrow will be the last of the big update questions, some as a short and some as a a full-length video, and then on Sunday we'll have the ultimate Minecraft 1.21 seed. In the meantime, I'm taking advantage of the last weekend before 1.21, and I'm actually going to go to England's only desert. It's going to be a fun little weekend trip. But yeah, otherwise, thank you very much for joining me on this journey over the last few years, and for spending your time with me and allowing this to exist, and I look forward to seeing you in another 85 years, hopefully, if I'm alive. Bye!